Today, I'll be talking about something that I feel often gets overlooked in video games as a whole. The ability to say, you know what, this world sucks and everyone in it should die. Which seems like an easy decision to make as a gamer, yet far too often we are left disappointed by our decisions for reckless destruction, with many games either not allowing you to kill NPCs indiscriminately, or not allowing you to otherwise embrace the murdering lifestyle that so many gamers enjoy. There's this interview with the CEO of Valve, where he talks about how a good game should focus on making the world react to the player's actions. Obviously, if I sneak into a person's house and use a greatsword to trim their toenails, I want to see them react to that. And if they don't, unfortunately, it's a bad game. Sorry, I don't make the rules, take it up with Gabe. But it's for that reason that I'll be talking about a few games that are exceptions to this rule. Games where our destructive desires are rewarded and nurtured instead of shunned. So let's pick a random number from 1 to 10. This might take a while. 9. Okay, let's look at 9 different games and see where they stack up. Starting off, we have Baldur's Gate 3. An obvious choice, but hey, this video is 2 weeks late, so I don't want to hear it. In Baldur's Gate 3, players are presented with many different ways to overcome problems, including persuasion, intimidation, and of course, exploding barrels. But this isn't what I feel makes the game a one-of-a-kind experience. What I look for in a game, from a psychopathic standpoint, is one that not only allows you to be evil, but rewards you for it, which this game certainly does. Not only does it allow you to play as a horrible, selfish, regular person, it even has a whole pre-made evil character ready to go for you, right off the rip. In my opinion, the Dark Urge might be some of the most interesting gameplay and writing for an evil character since Knights of the Old Republic, and that came out 20 years ago. It just goes to show how often the murderous minority is overlooked in the modern gaming world. Which brings me to game number 2, Fable 3. While I can't speak for Fable 1 and 2 as I haven't played them and am too lazy to do so, I know for sure that in Fable 3 you're given many different decisions, and near the end of the game you have to decide how to run your kingdom. Will you be a good ruler and make your kingdom a better place for your subjects, or an evil one that exploits them? Except that there's actually a lot more to it than that. See, I love games that give me gray morality. Not only are you the ruler of this kingdom, but you have to prepare for a coming war. And to do so, you can either choose the good boy option, which drains your kingdom's funds, or the bad boy option, which fills your pockets with precious life-saving doubloons. But it does make your people hate you a little bit more. And this, my friends, is where being evil in video games gets interesting. You're not just forced to make a moral choice, the game actually punishes you for doing the right thing. So you have to strike a balance between being the most horrible human on the planet that no one wants as a king, or a benevolent goody two-shoes that's going to get everyone in the kingdom killed. It's a beautiful way to play with the idea of choice in a video game, and I wish more games tried to do something like that. Coming in at number 3, we have RimWorld. I didn't just want to include RPGs in this video, as I felt that would be a little boring, so let's talk about a colony sim for a little bit. RimWorld is a game that excels at giving the player options. Want your pawns to be a bunch of alien outlaw vampires that kidnap children and harvest their blood? RimWorld has you covered. In fact, I would argue that RimWorld expects you to be at least a little bit of a horrible person. If you're not at least manufacturing drugs and kidnapping people to harvest their organs, then you're honestly just losing out on potential capital gains. Get your money up! Never has a game made you feel so good about being such a monster, which is probably why I have over 1,000 hours in it. There's no moral lesson with this one, just go play RimWorld and I'll see you back for another video in 6 months. At number 4 is Fallout New Vegas. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone that a game about surviving in a bombed out wasteland incentivizes you to be ruthless, yet it's still so much fun every single time. Want to be an absolute asshole to everybody you meet and then blow their head off with a shotgun? While some games might say, okay, but you're not going to get much out of it, New Vegas says, are we thinking slugs or buckshot? I think New Vegas is the perfect game to go into thinking, how awful can I actually be? And you'll quickly find the answer is, well, how bad do you think selling people into slavery and eating human flesh is? And if you had to think about the answer to that, you might need to reevaluate some things in your life. And that's why, to this day, people still talk about New Vegas, but they don't talk about Bound by Flame 2014. This is a joke, as Bound by Flame was actually praised for giving the players options to be evil, but unfortunately that didn't make it a good game. Game number 5 is Dishonored. Now, I can already hear the metaphorical keywords typing a 25-paragraph essay on why Dishonored doesn't belong on this list, but if I may, I'd like to make an argument. While Dishonored does make the game harder if you go around killing everybody, I would argue that it actually makes it more fun. I don't see it as the game punishing you for playing like a violent caveman, I see it as the game becoming more fitting to that playstyle. After all, why give the players a million different ways to violently eviscerate their enemies if you're not going to let them use them? This is a view that I'm not sure everyone will agree with, but it's my video, so I'm keeping it on the damn list. Next game. Number 6 is DSX Human Revolution. Cyberpunk is a genre that doesn't shy away from morally gray themes and decisions, but I have to say, Human Revolution is unintentionally hilarious if you play it like a first-person shooter. I went through this game picking the worst dialogue options and was hellbent on causing as much chaos as possible, and you know what? I had an absolute blast. Taking a game so obviously centered around dialogue and stealth and saying, screw all that, I'm John Cyberpunk and I'm here to kill, was the best decision I ever made. And what's even better is that the game totally lets you do that. And that's why it's on this list. At number 7 we have Prey. This is a bit of an oddball game as a whole. You're stuck on a space station, but you don't know that at the start, and your brother has gone bananas. Oh, and there are a bunch of murderous goo monsters all over the place. Who could really blame you if you just said screw it, got on an escape pod, and left everyone to die? And that's exactly what I did. 10 out of 10. At number 8, we have The Last of Us, Part 2. Love it or hate it, this game definitely played with the idea of gray morality. And though many people have criticized the game's story, I find it absolutely hilarious that a game that's pretty obviously trying to make a point about how violence is not a perfect solution to all problems, nonetheless has the main character slaughtering hundreds of people. If that isn't a game made for psychos, then I don't know what is. Therefore, it gets an extremely rare, you accidentally missed the point of your own game award. Regardless, The Last of Us Part 2 gets a lot of unjustified hate, and honestly, I think when people start taking stuff like this too seriously, is when they should maybe take a few breaths, take a look in the mirror, and ask themselves, when was the last time I took a shower? Which brings us to our final game at number 9, Undertale. Undertale is infamous for its genocide route, in which your character quite literally becomes a monster, hellbent on destroying all life in the world. Not only does the game recognize your attempt to be a horrible person, it even gives you a lore justification for your despicable actions. Which, if I might be so bold, puts it right up at the top of the list next to Baldur's Gate 3. Even though, technically, this game is at the bottom. Far too often are we the gamers left with meager scraps of loot due to our dedication to atrocity. Only when a game fully recognizes the horrible darkness in the hearts of men does it then descend into the realm of atrocious beauty, a feat that is both difficult and cruel to execute, but is entirely genius in its own way. And with that bit of wisdom, I bid you farewell. I hope you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the large red button, and as always, stay curious.